Welcome back to another episode of the Frustrated CEO podcast. We are so glad that you joined us for this episode. It's going to be a great one. My name is Patrick Lyons. I'm one of your hosts. One of our colleagues, Patsy Freeman, is off with a client today and unable to participate, but she'll certainly be back next time. And I think it'll be great to ask her what she's working on, what she's seeing. But I will welcome my esteemed colleague and co-host, Leb Tannenbaum, who is here. Leb, welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm going to kick it to you to let you introduce our guest for the day.
Okay. So I am really excited to introduce Kumbeno Memory. So we're going to refer to Kumbeno as Bino. So when you hear us, that's what we're talking about. Bino has owned and operated Hoop Dreams basketball for 20 years. So started in 2002. He has founded and run I-5 Elite AAU basketball programs with two of his best friends. One of them is Kendrick Williams of Rose City Rebels, who's the director there, and Ime Udoka, who used to be a Portland Trailblazer. Yeah. Yep. And is now the head coach of the Boston Celtics. Good luck, Ime. We love you. He's coached at all levels. So from fifth graders, approximately, AAU, high school, college, help people get into the pro league, help people get from G League into the NBA on the team. And he is a podcaster himself. He's done countless speaking engagements. So if you want somebody to come talk and fire up your people, we'll talk about that at the end, but Bino can do that. And he's a graduate of Portland State University. He's got a bachelor's degree in social science, and he is now deeply involved in crypto and NFTs and Web3. And we're going to talk all about wait a minute, basketball and now crypto, and we'll talk about that. But I think we'll start with basketball. And let's remember, this is a frustrated CEO. One of the reasons that I'm so excited, besides the fact that I used to play some basketball with Bino, and he's just an incredible guy, is there's a correlation between coaching and working with kids and working with young people, working with young adults who have a dream, and they need help. And so if you're a CEO out there and you're listening, it's like there's a direct correlation to what we're going to talk about today with Bino and how you run your organization, how you work with your people. And I'll kick it off with this. I'm around a lot of organizations. Patrick and I, Patsy, we're consultants. This is what we do. And we run into a lot of organizations. I was literally on a call with somebody yesterday, and he throwed in a 90-minute coaching session the word team out about 50 times. And I had to challenge that because I know that a lot of teams haven't really come together as a team. They're just called a team. Mm-hmm. I got this team here, I got this team here, and I got this team here, and I'm working with this team here. I said, are they really all teams? And all of a sudden the conversation stopped. Right. So I want to start, toss it over to you, Bino, and have you talk a little bit about, you're not just coaching an individual, because it's a team sport.
Yeah.
And how do you help them recognize, it's not about me?
Well, I mean, team is selfless. So you got to come from that standpoint first. And how do most people learn it? I think by coming from the selfish standpoint, and you go down that direction, you figure out it doesn't work. And for my line of work, like in basketball, the person I saw do that was Michael Jordan. And try it, and it didn't work, trying to score, 1 million points like you see Kevin Durant and Harden and all these guys try to do now. And when he adjusted that and started finding the open man and, applying himself on the defensive end, so becoming multi-talented, now him being selfless to his teammates, that was able to take them to world championships, something that's not been duplicated by many teams. But just the dynamic of a team, when you started saying that, and you're somebody throwing around the word, like team is internal, and right off the bat when it's not a team. And if we want to have meetings, which I hear like a company like Nike. I know people that work out at the campus. They tell me they have meetings for meetings and meetings, and I bet they have their stuff they call a lot of team. But if there's issues, you have to address those right away. You can't do that in a team and let things go play to play on. We've now take that to a family. I mean, some of the same stuff applies when you really pull back and look at it from a big picture standpoint. And that's what I am to a group of people, is to show them there's just kind of this other way that you can look at it. But typically you got to step back and see the big picture of it. We're all just small pieces in a lot of these pictures. We start thinking we're big cogs, and man, life will go on really quickly without a lot of us in it. So how can you contribute? You start giving. I haven't seen that not work in my life. I can't speak for everybody else.
Yeah. So kids come to you, young adults come to you, pros come to you. And I would assume they're on a team somewhere. They're on a team. How much is this work that you do related to skills and skill development, and how much might be considered to be, leadership development and then team development, right? Because they're going to go back to their team. They're going to go back to whoever their coach was, right? And I want to talk about coaching because we do a lot of coaching in the context of business. Yep. I know you do a lot of coaching, and I know there's some similarities, and I know that I've seen some coaches when I coached basketball that, we'll talk about that, but their approach to coaching kids was way different than mine.
Yeah. Well, from the standpoint of, I've adjusted my whole, I've been in this for almost 20 years. Going 10 years in, I adjusted the way I taught. The first 10 years, I probably taught through skills and drills, and you take these little pieces and go and plug those into the team. And I mean, for the players I work with, it worked, but I could still see behind. I started backing up. It's like, okay, everybody doesn't have the ball at the same time. So why would I be working with Leb and Patrick on ball handling? Yeah, they need it. But if I just say at any time, you got the ball, Leb, and me and him don't have the ball right now. So what? Why are we thinking about ball handling? We should be thinking about cutting or screening or spacing out. That is better for us to be doing right now. And so after that 10 years, I switched my form of teaching. And if you come to me individually, I have to teach you how to fit into a unit in a team first. Then we can talk about you doing something individually. Now, if you have that framework, what I teach you is going to make a lot more sense. Now, you would think that all pros and college players would have that down, and they typically don't. They've just had some extreme individual skill or talent that got them to that point, and now maybe they're hitting their head on the wall and they can't get it figured out. So I don't care what age you are. If you're LeBron James, well, I don't say it because he got it figured out, but James Harden, if you're Kevin, I mean, even though how great these guys are, if you're Damian Lillard, down to I want to teach you how to go into that. So, okay, Dame, man, look at how you started the season. Didn't have the best shooting streak. I know that's what's in your plan. I know you're a hard worker. Okay. If let's say you miss 3 in a row, does it make sense for you to shoot 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10? Why don't we just say, forget it? Tonight it's going to be Simons. I'm just going to set a bunch of screens. I'm going to pick it up on the defensive end. I might run the floor hard on the break, and now I get layups and dunks instead of having to worry about that. Or I run the pick and rolls and I'm looking to play make. Now, if you're affecting the game those ways, to me, I believe those points that you first desire are going to come back to you. Right. It's like a Jedi mind trick almost.
Right.
It's holistic. We come back to that thing that you're talking about. I want to get my name in the paper. I want to look good. We all do. In some capacity, we'll say we don't, but do a bunch of things for somebody and let them not recognize what the hell you did.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm hearing is, starting to draw this distinction between being competitive and being collaborative. And we see that, we see that in business, especially when you're working in a sales organization, right? Because there's that competition. and that competition can be healthy, and at sometimes that competition can turn into being unhealthy.
Yeah.
Right, because there's also a need to collaborate, to help each other close deals, to help each other, learn some skills or recognize, I'm good at the details, but the relationship thing is a little hard for me, right? Um, and so that's again exciting to me because it shows up on a basketball court or a football field or whatever. But can you talk a little bit about how do you keep the competitive edge and maybe learn how to be collaborative, or maybe you're overly collaborative, right? Somebody's always passing, always looking for somebody else, but they're looking for some production from you as well.
Yeah. For me, I would never omit the competitive portion out of it. That is a part of the, like, if you're in the game or that's, oh, you guys are up 20, take it easy. What? We started the game. We're supposed to play till the buzzer sounds. That's a part of the game. We're in business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Burger King can open up across the street. That's okay. I don't like it. That's okay. That's okay. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. So let's keep this the competitive part of it, and that's part of learning the game. I don't think it should keep being a mystery. We need you to be your best, and we need you to work really good with everybody else. Why is that got to be difficult? Why do we got to keep making this some scientific equation? Go work and be your best, and go help somebody else be their best each day. Now, if you're in a group of 10, make those other 9 people their best and be your best. That means you got to bring it today.
Mm.
Yes, I agree with everything you just said. And I think one of the things that gets in the way of me looking across my team and putting the good of the team above myself is ego, right? And, more concerned about how I look, putting individual stats over the team winning. That is something that I know CEOs and organizations struggle with. You get leaders who come in who, for whatever reason, have their own agenda. They have their own ego. They're putting their own individual departments' stats or results over the rest of the company. The company might be performing poorly, but they're saying, doesn't matter. Look at what we did. We hit our goals. So how do you coach that? How do you coach big ego on the basketball court? And from that process, from your insights, what kind of CEO, is it the exact same process the CEO might use in coaching a big ego senior executive?
Yeah, no, I wish I could be in that group, that meeting, the one like this. I just come in with my hoodie like this and say, no. So you guys are great. You guys are great. Well, go fucking help. I'm sorry. Can I just be? That's how I speak, man.
It's all good.
Go help everybody else be great.
Yeah.
If I'm working with Terrence Jones and he's going to be a McDonald's All-American, it's already documented. You're better than everybody. Go make everybody else better now. If you're so good.
Wow.
If they come at it like that, because now if you're trying to make it clear, there's an elephant or you're making it clear, I'll just be clear right back. Or if not, we can work through this and say, hey, well, look at, let's figure out if you go to Kansas, not the Kansas now, Kansas like 5 years ago, or, when they were like number one or going to be fighting for number one every year. Because I had a few players that went there. The motto for Bill Self and those guys was, if we all do our part, the pie gets bigger and we all eat. Meaning we got to win league. We got to get to the NCAA tournament. We got to get, when it gets big like that, then that's why you average 5 points a pick, Kelly Oubre, but you're still going to get the first round pick and all that. And like how they do it Kentucky. And so I love dealing with high talent, because I believe whoever you are, you should want to be challenged. We're going back to being your best. And if you're thinking of those stats and all that stuff, you have an agenda and an idea, it means you want to be really good. So let's challenge you to do that. You can't just come with that idea of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So if you coach that ego, right, you coach that big ego, hey, if you're that good, and you are, right, I'm like, hopefully somebody doesn't have a big ego that doesn't have the skill to back it up. Okay, so you're good. You got the big ego. Go make everybody else better. If
those processes there.
Yeah. Now, have you coached someone? I'm sure you have in 20 years, where that just doesn't click for them. And what is the impact that that has on the team? And then what do you do about it? Have you had experiences, without naming anybody, throwing anybody under the bus, where you've literally had to say to somebody, you're the most talented person on the team, but there's just no room for you here because it's all about you?
Yeah. I've only in all my time had it. And these things, I understand they're not easy for everybody to do. They're just, it's clear and easy for me to do. But I had to say, after one tournament, I remember with the player, very talented, but that, and I was like, hey, man, after we got back, we actually won the championship in that tournament. All these kids are going and getting scholarships. Came back and said, this isn't going to work. Because I could see the effect it was having on the other 9 players on the team.
That's it. So what was the effect? I think that is such a great point to make for a CEO who's thinking, this is my top talent, I can't let that person go. But what is the effect that it has on the other 9 executives or the other folks on the team?
Yeah, it was heavy, but everybody sees what's going on. Everybody sees how the head coach or the CEO is addressing everybody. People are keenly aware of all this stuff. And you go, well, how do you know that? Because I feel like throughout the course of maybe my basketball playing career, I was in all of these positions. I was in where I was maybe a starter and a captain, and I was like a 6th man, and then come off the bench, and then you will not get off the bench unless this happens. And I've seen what that all felt like. And so I know when the next guy's in front of me, I'm watching everything and every way the coach talks to him. Because if it looks different, that's why I'm not playing. You're doing this, but that's not never reason. I mean, we're talking about a 1 in 100,000 or crazy chance that maybe there's some crazy stuff going on, but most of it is you can typically affect it if you open yourself up. But that takes yourself, either you're going to challenge yourself or somebody's going to challenge you.
Now, one of the things I'm hearing in this that I think we're all interested in, I know our listeners are interested in, you go back to Bill Self, you're talking about somebody who set a culture. Right?
Heavy culture, yeah.
Right. Set a culture. And, recruiting, right? Well, that's what's happening in business as well. It's hard to recruit right now. It's hard to find and attract the talent that you need to be really successful. And so you're coaching individuals at times, and I know you coach teams as well. It's a leader's job. Leaders have, we know from working with Denison organization and the Denison Culture Survey and all of their data around culture is that leaders have the greatest impact on an organization's culture. Yeah. That's going to be a kid who's a leader on a team, but it's also going to be a coach. It's going to be the head coach. Mm-hmm. Do you have conversations? Can you coach a head coach while you're coaching one of their star players to get even better? When you see something, that coach might be doing that they're unaware of, that isn't team or is favoritism or some of those kinds of things that we all, recognize, and that probably most of the people in the stands see it.
Yeah, definitely. And you got, these are like, if this was like a picture, these are like thin lines here where this stuff can happen. Where do you take it to where somebody sees it as being favoritism or not? Now, let's say I'm the head coach. I could be being, in my mind, genuine, ethical, with integrity and stuff. But if your son's not playing, you're going to think I'm doing favoritism to everybody else. So I understand that.
Yeah.
You know how I understand it? I have a kid. I've got a child. But you got to remove yourself from that situation. And maybe this will answer it or not. But like, if my daughter, she plays volleyball, she plays college volleyball, and she had an experience when she was a junior where she got cut from the varsity and had to play JV as a junior. And I mean, she cried. I've heard my daughter cry very few times like that. It hurt bad, you could tell. But if she probably hadn't gone through that experience, she wouldn't probably be playing college volleyball now. And here's the kicker. If she wanted to suck at volleyball, she's going to suck. It's on her. And if she wants to be really good about volleyball, she's going to be good. So like there, I'm the parent or so I can remove myself from that. Now, coming back, I just try to deal with people with integrity, be ethical, be honest. Now, honest means you're my star player, Patrick Lyons. And yeah, it's cool to you be the star player and like I'm the head coach and look like kind of like Tim Duncan and Pop or like Jordan and Phil Jackson. We look not like I'm in let's say if you were younger or even if we're working in a work culture, we don't have to be peers. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't. Yeah. We just had to work together. We don't have to go out after work and have happy hour and all that stuff. Could that work? That would be great. And I want to put it like that because my point in coaching is usually there's an age difference. Now, if I was coaching pro, it would just go to, man, I'm not going to be fraternizing with my work people. There's 7 billion other people on the planet that I can decide to be friends with, you know, to keep that that thick line of integrity in there. So that it doesn't look so 90% of people know, man, that's not favoritism. The other 10 people, you know, that's the bias that's already supposed to be there. And part of that I would say is put these blinders on. I'm not worried about the noise. We're in here on our team. If that's Nabisco or if that's Wilson High School or Duke, to me, all of it's the same. Like it's you build a hardworking culture, a culture that serves each other. You know, when you see the riffraff right away, you that's another thing. Like you said, the thing that affects culture is the CEO or the head honcho or whatever. Mm-hmm. Everybody sees the decisions that they're making. Well, you're going to have to make some hard decisions. So as soon as we see things that don't go along with our culture, like I said, it only took one tournament. That was 4 days. Took us probably longer to recruit to get the kid on our team. So it could take the business longer to recruit him. You come in for 4 days. Why would I let you take away all this years of built up culture for your perceived talent? If you were so talented, I wouldn't be feeling what I'm feeling right now. You would have came in here and really got it going.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, what team did Steve Nash go to and make it bad? Or like he messed up the culture? Do you get what I'm saying? Like we can look at some of these other guys, you know, but there's certain guys Wesley Matthews is going to go mess up the culture. I'm sure. So it doesn't look like you got to say a star guy.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Anybody, if you do the right thing is the right thing. Whether you're Jimmy Butler, he's a star guy and he has the same traits that Wesley Matthews has. It doesn't have to be the same skill set, traits. Right. Honest, hardworking, can be challenged. Most of these people that you see, the issue is they don't want to be challenged. Come on, man, that's uncomfortable. What do we know about life? Why do they tell you to get in cold pools and stuff like that? That's not comfortable. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I try to take it back and forth. We can go to basketball, to ping pong, to it doesn't matter. We do these different same processes in all of our life. As you do anything, you do everything.
Yeah. So that really brought something to light for me. You work with kids and their tapes. You look at video. I've been in business, and probably one of the most uncomfortable things when you're trying to help somebody, as an example, improve in the area of communication is when you tape a leader in a business. And it is super, and it's happened to me. I'm like, oh God, that's terrible. I didn't know I did that, or I didn't know I looked like that. I didn't know I made that. All right, I repeatedly did this. But if you avoid what's uncomfortable, you may be missing a whole lot of opportunity to improve, right? It's kind of what I love about something like Toastmasters is they do make it safe.
Yeah.
And they start with giving you the positive feedback, and then they give you feedback about how you might improve.
Yeah.
And you know what? People improve. And public speaking is, right up there with death and, other things that people get really frightened about, including some great, humble servant leaders who are highly introverted.
Yeah.
So, I just wondering, like when you're using tape and people are seeing things with you, how do you get, the point across without making it seem like destructive or, helping them understand why we're looking at not just the how of things and the how and the what to correct, but why are we doing this?
You got to first establish a relationship
Right
that
on.
that will allow you to
Yeah.
go even deeper and what I call heavier,
Yeah.
whatnot. But if we have to do this on the fly, then that's where your ability to communicate has to come in. And most people can't handle being challenged or things coming in hard. So that's where we call it constructive criticism. I
Right.
would rather flip it the other way and say, in life, we're going to need to be used to being challenged. So why are we looking for this utopia where we're never going to be challenged? And why can't it be like this? But the art of communication, hopefully you can learn it where you got to warm up. But eventually, it's all fine and dandy, but eventually we're going to have to get to that challenge point. We can't have these great conversations and you feel warm and fuzzy every time. You know what? And let's say I'm the CEO, you as an employee, I want you sometimes to come in here and to say some things to me. Hopefully we can establish a relationship like that where it can be honest. And if you see me be vulnerable and open like that, then it's fine. Now, don't come to me with some big crazy list and like we're going to change the whole business today, but you get what I'm saying. It's an ability to work with each other.
I mean, I love that you're talking about relationship, establishing relationship, because a lot of times that's kind of assumed. It's like, well, you report to me, so that's it. You report to me, and I'm I'm going to give you feedback, and the relationship is not sufficient to handle the feedback, right?
That's a great way to put it.
So you have a way to kind of be intentional about that and be intentional about creating that relationship. Another thing that came up, and Patrick, I'm going to need your help on this because I'm going to try to cross-reference it to business. But when I was coaching, so I took a CYO league in Portland. It's pretty competitive, actually. The first year I took on this team, which my son was on, we lost every game. And then the next year we lost every game but 4. And then the next year we were 500. And then the next year we were above 500. But what I remember in that journey is I had some kids who some people might have referred to as thugs. They were just kind of our goofballs. Went out drinking on Saturday night before a Sunday game and all this kind of stuff when we got to the high school level. And I kept thinking to myself, well, what do I have that they want? Because nothing was more frustrating than them getting technicals because they're mouthing off to the ref or they're throwing an elbow and getting a penalty that's completely unwarranted, right? And this is what I'm trying to get at for both of you. When the light bulb turned on for me, it says, okay, I've got one thing that they all want. I have their minutes, right? They want to be out on the hardwood. They don't want to be on the bench. And I have their minutes. I don't care whether you're my superstar, the best player or not. So we set some ground rules. And one of the ground rules was if you get us in trouble unnecessarily, technicals from the ref because you're mouthing off, you're out of the game. That's it. I don't care what the score is. I don't care who you are. If you flagrantly fouled or obviously fouled or even started a fight, because that happened in that league, you're benched. If we lose the game, okay, then we're going to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to look. To me, I look at that. So minutes was currency, right? And we, leaders. So I'm thinking about leaders, Patrick. I'm thinking about leaders. I don't remember having too many conversations with leaders about the currency that they have.
Yeah.
I hear about the power that they have, or the reporting structure, or the structure of the organization. But there's something else I'm wondering about as we talk about this. And what else might come to mind? With basketball minutes, it was kind of okay. Eventually, that became obvious, but What's the currency when we're cross-referencing? And here you are. We'll get into crypto and some of that other stuff later. But right, currency matters.
Yeah. So what immediately comes to mind for me, and then Bino, I'd love to hear from you too.
Yeah.
Just right off the top of my head, clearly there's involvement in whether involvement even at the leadership table, right? That minutes at the leadership table. I was like, okay, if you want to be part of this team, you've got to show up and contribute to the team in a manner that's expected. So, and if you can't, well, then you're going to be on the sidelines watching the rest of the team operate. So it's involvement at the table. It's, heck, for some, it could be pay and benefits, right? I mean, like, not that you're going to take away somebody's salary, but I'm certainly going to factor in that as I'm considering variable comp or your next promotion. Maybe the bigger one, those are a couple of obvious, maybe the last one, and then Bino, I'm curious what your thoughts are, is just autonomy, right? Leaders want to be empowered. Everybody wants to be empowered. I want to know what's my authority, and that authority is given over time because we've built this trust. I have proven to you that I can operate outside of your oversight because you know how I'm going to think, you know that I'm going to use a logical thought process to arrive at a conclusion to solve a business problem. And if I'm showing you that I can't, then you have to rein in some of that autonomy. Some of that my authority shrinks, and I then become less empowered. But again, it's the result of my own actions.
Yeah.
Bino, what do you think?
Yeah, I would that would probably be one of my first ones. I was thinking it from the other way, just kind of how I would be observing employees, and almost there can be this thing that's set up where we understand this is the standard and whatnot. But what I'm beginning to learn really works in real life, just for me. We can talk business, but just life is the people that just contribute all time, the people that take initiative, the people that are hardworking. What is it? Luck favors those people. Things typically tend to work for them. So I'll be looking from that angle, and then the currency would be to offer more autonomy. And if I think about it, that is, you talk about minutes. A player in basketball wants autonomy. What do you mean? They want to be able to Euro step and do step back threes and not me say that was a terrible shot. Why'd you do that? That they can do that. And I might just go, okay, come on, let's go, but that's about it. That they're able to do that. That's to have the freedom to do that. Now tell me how that doesn't work in the household with parents to children. And so I think that works in all angles. That at the end of the day, people want autonomy. That's going to be based on your aptitude, your ability to do what's needed, your ability to go above and beyond what's needed without being asked to do it. Now, why, if I can do that with young people up into adults, that adults shouldn't already be just assumed to do that? And that's the thing, is that we start creating all these different terms. Oh, we got to have a meeting for a meeting, and that's constructive criticism and different stuff. At the end of the day, everybody's going to have to be challenged, whether you're wearing a suit or a jersey and a pair of shorts and some shoes. That's another thing. We could talk about that, the perception of if you're wearing a suit that you're getting a whole bunch done, and then the perception if you're wearing a hoodie and like that you're not. I'm fine that, but I wear one suit that I've worn to 2 weddings that I don't plan to wear anywhere else to do anything. I don't need anybody tell me what I have to wear somewhere. I can handle any business I need to handle comfortably.
Yeah.
That's why you see mostly NBA coaches. I know my buddy Ime, he wears his little green little golf zipper up thing and tennis shoes. And when did that happen? Well, through the pandemic, it's because times were so hard that they were saying, you know what, you don't need to wear the suits and stuff now. We can kind of ease this back and stuff. Well, it should have been eased back before. What's the damn point of that? It's a perception. When you wear the suit, you are professional. Right. Not actually how you deal with people is how you're professional. Period. Right. We don't have to talk anymore about it. There's not another part of the conversation. Well, and I can wear flip-flops, and there's these things that's built up. But if I treat you with respect, and that's professionalism, that's character. We're going into this different world too, where this stuff we're talking about, it sounds like a soundbite. Yeah. The richest people on the planet are not going to be wearing suits anymore, because this is how business is going to be conducted, what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I can go, put on China. How you doing? Yeah, that's get it. And we're going to move on. I got another one to do in 15. Saudi, it's already happening right now. So, really fast.
I have a question for you. Prior to us hitting record on the episode, you said something, and I tried to write it as fast as I could. You said something to the effect of, you were talking about when you're coaching your players, that if everybody understands the game of basketball so well, why isn't everybody successful at it? Or why? So let's translate that to business, right? The business concepts are pretty basic, right? There's so if everybody understands them, why isn't every business successful? Or if you want to take it back to the team, if everybody understands the game of basketball, why isn't every team good at it, successful? And then what lesson might a CEO take away from that she or he could apply?
Well, keep it simple. They're not they might understand or comprehend those concepts, but they're not applying them and following those concepts on a daily basis. And I'm not saying that just on the CEO, that's within the organization. And that's the big job of the CEO, is that, Leb, you're my guy. That's why I hired you. You know what I mean? You're my guy. I knew you're going to do the job. As soon as you mess up, Leb, I'm on your ass, man. And I'm sorry. Come on, man. You go home to your wife. What the hell's wrong with Bino, man? Try to call me out in front of the people. He knows how long we go back. What are we talking about right now? You didn't do your job. Who else should tell you? I would have liked to hope you would have told yourself, so I could have been going. I was going to get coffee. I wanted to get coffee. I didn't want to tell you that. I didn't want to take the time to do. Do you get what I'm saying? We all have our own things. You want to go play golf. Now I messed your golf thing up because you feel I got on you. And people, they're just not simply following those things. And it's day to day. It's every step. You can't skip steps. That's the hard part. We want to work out and get in better shape, and you get going. And it's New Year's. We're in February. How many people are still to their stuff because they can't keep going day to day? It's mundane. It's you just got to keep It's monotony. But then once culture gets built up, that's the big tide and current that just now you jump into it. And the people that aren't a part of that culture, they feel uncomfortable. It's like, get out of here. We didn't want you in here anyways. Sorry we invited you. We didn't know who you were. You fooled us. But culture finds that out right away.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I got a group of kids that are freshmen now that were 8th graders last year, and they had at a tournament, whatever it was, these kids were playing up. So they had a kid that was older played with them, with that particular group. And they were in a tournament, and they came out like, man, like he wasn't in the right spot off the ball defensively, man. He didn't know how to rotate. Like this isn't stuff but those guys understood the game and had an IQ. And as soon as that guy got in there, it was like, this don't feel right. It wasn't because there wasn't an understanding and an IQ there. Kid really talented, but the culture of that team was basketball IQ, hard work, team, selflessness. And that's been cooking since like 2nd grade. And now, there's like 2 or 3 on varsity at Central Catholic, 1 on varsity at Barlow, 1 on varsity they're Roosevelt. They're every place. That whole group of freshmen is all on varsity. And I'm not talking they're just on varsity. Like Jalen Atkins averages 19 at Barlow. Isaac Carr averages, I think, 12 or 13 at Central Catholic. These are some of the better off of an understanding of the game and applying it. Not the biggest kids. So in business, we look at the top businesses and you study them and apply it. That ain't hard. I started studying John Wooden when I wanted to become a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's duplicated that? There's people that's gotten close. So, I mean, it's like you start going down the line. I was watching a game. Hubie Brown's talking. Okay, that's a pal. We move without the ball. Okay, do that. Pause. I mean, this stuff is, we make it so complicated. And now we got podcasts and this and that and audio books and this and that. We didn't have none of that stuff back then. I would make it about this, but there's so much. How do you not be successful? That's what needs to be the podcast. How in the hell are you not successful today?
That would be a great name. That'd be a great name for your podcast. How in the hell are you not successful today?
Yeah, come on. We're cool. We'll bring it up. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm spicing it up, but this is just.
No, that's good. It's all good. So I want to go one more place and then maybe get over to, crypto and some of the.
I've been chomping at the bit, man. Come on.
Well, I'm thinking. So I'll start with basketball. A lot of coaches and a lot of players get overly affected by the audience, right? By the fans, by the crowd, right? And the crowd is yelling and screaming and maybe yelling at the coach and, whatever, yelling at the referees, but there's a crowd, right? And in business, there are customers, there are clients, there are shareholders, there are stakeholders. And so I'm thinking of the player, but I'm also thinking of the coach, and I'm recognizing, some of the pressure that you have to deal with. And I'm wondering, if you talk about, dealing with pressure or how you block out the noise and then the other side of that is home cooking, how teams sometimes go, oh yeah, man, I play so much better when I'm at home. Yeah. And then there's those odd teams that seem to play better when they're out on the road. But if there's anything in there that our frustrated CEOs might benefit from hearing, I'm interested in that, because I know they have pressure that is outside of their leadership team, outside of running their organization, outside of meeting, desired intended goals or, strategy, et cetera. And any thought on that?
Pressure is what you make it. Pressure is what you make it. Now, back again, I said earlier about having blinders on. If we're just doing what we need to do and our heads down and we're staying connected as a group and as a team, as an organization, I think that's the best opportunity we have to be successful, to get things finished. If we're worried about the noise on the outside, and I think that's also an indicator that you are moving towards success when noise starts happening. And so, like I'm starting to begin to do some different stuff on social media, and you see people, that's where they get caught up in a lot of the whatever. Like I just thought to myself, through all this time I've been doing it for over 10 years, I never got into one of those. Why? Because I never will. It just doesn't make any sense. What the hell would I do? Just that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And then somebody else said, I was seeing a video of Gary Vee today, and he said, you got people that, say they go onto his page and, man, this is horrible. So he's like, I just didn't think you took the time out of your day to look at my content and then to put some stuff down. It's like, man, you must be really going through something. So he's like, I invoke compassion. But that also, you got to be emotionally intelligent and solid yourself to not jump back into that right there. So maybe emotional intelligence is the bigger answer. But once you get solid and know what your goal and plans are, you shouldn't really be paying attention to the noise. And then if noise does, you do begin to hear it, it's a part of your journey to success. That you're on the right path. If nobody's saying nothing about you, I mean, that's pretty much self-explanatory. Yeah. That's the world we live in.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. I mean, I think that's so applicable in both courts, the basketball court and the business court.
Michael Jordan, pressure is what you make it. Pretty simple.
Yeah. So at some point here recently, you have shifted some of your focused attention, intelligence, wisdom, and experience into, well, let's just generally call it monetizing your dreams.
I like that. Yeah.
Right. Um, can you talk about, that a little bit, and the maybe what spurred that, what you're doing right now, because I know whatever it is you're doing, you're throwing yourself into it.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm all the way into
I
it.
know you're all in, and I know you're passionate, and I know you're intelligent, and I know something's going to happen. So let's talk about that, because again, I think in business sometimes people get stuck in their ways about a whole lot of things, including monetizing their own business.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of chatter about dinosaurs, business who just can't think differently, or don't, they refuse to think differently, old beliefs and all of that. So let's hear about Bball as it relates to crypto and the other things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Monetizing that dream.
Yeah, monetizing the dreams. Well, it first started with the pandemic, and then I'm paid by going out to a gym and working with a group of players or an individual player, and that couldn't happen.
Mm.
And so that was abrupt to my life, and how I made money. And so it's like, well, but I'm really good at what I do and all these different things. So it didn't mean anything unless I'd set up certain processes prior to the pandemic. This was my only medium. I mean, to keep it simple, of making money off of my craft that I'd sharpened. And so, but then I started to open up and look at, I had a YouTube channel that I just really didn't put much work into. I just had a few videos on there from like 2013 and just didn't. So this is what 2020, I start saying, you know what, I'm just going to get some videos going, and because I can't go out and teach physical basketball for this next month and a half or something. And so but I also had to learn that. So I started like watching a bunch of YouTube videos and just kind of how to market stuff that way and build a following, or, subscribers and different stuff. And so it's like you open that up, and then I don't know, maybe that just planted a seed and that was growing while I wasn't thinking about it. And you look at the ability to scale things out, like what we're doing right now. Like we didn't have to go meet somewhere and use, like, Patrick, man, traffic, it was, we got here and all this different stuff. Is like, we can just click on, boom, 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 handle this, get going, do whatever we need to do. Shoot, you could even look like you're in a mansion, do the little backdrop. It's things can just happen fast now. And so I think my wheels just kept turning so much in the background. And so we go about a year and a half. And then March 2021, I just started going, well, at the new year of 2020, I started studying crypto. And then in March, I actually got into it and then started doing some investing and slowly kept watching it, which was crazy. I got in at the very highest point of where Bitcoin and most of the market was at the time. So I initially took a dive. So it was like a lot of learning just happened for me right away in that.
Yeah.
But also you just start to see where our future is going. And there's a lot of parallels being made right now to kind of like 1998 or 97 of where the internet was and where we're at in regards to crypto and NFTs and DeFi and Web3. Now the big kind of tagline is metaverse, but we've been, if you have kids, they've been playing Roblox and Minecraft and Fortnite for the last, 8 years or something. That's a metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Those are metaverses. And so then you go, okay, well, my kid been telling me going crazy about Roblox, and we actually give him money to put in the ecosystem. Well, the difference between that is that's a closed system that I don't know the company owns Roblox. I want to say Microsoft owns Minecraft. So like that, Microsoft's getting all of that benefit, and they can put some kind of what they call a currency within the game, but it's only workable in the game, and they get the benefit of that, the centralized entity. In crypto and in this Web3 model, which is, Web 1, Web 2 is where we're at right now with social media and all this stuff. And then nothing's really dealt with financial and value on the blockchain. and in the internet. And now we're at Web3, and now you're able to connect everything together, and where this decentralized entity pumps all the value back to creators, us right here doing what we're doing, that whatever our community is, that they can now benefit from that, but you do too. That's like a big idea, but might be hard to understand because everything is this other way. But if we thought back to 1998, everything was this other way, and then it went this way, and we're here again. And so you go, well, there was 98, and then there was like 2010, and then here we are now. And so that was Web 1, Web 2. Well, I've already missed 2 of them. I want to be aware of what's about to happen now, then things just kind of happen. And you made a point earlier, Leb, about, consider a dinosaur. I could feel like I'm that too. And that I saw some picture of something that caught my attention and pulled me over here. But if not, I would not be open to any of this. So I can understand it on both sides, but this is where it's going. And if anybody's skeptical, I can point you in a million directions to show you where it's happening. But I don't even want to do that. It's like somebody convincing, hey, I don't think you can teach me basketball. Man, I want to go get some food right now. I'm hungry. Like, I don't even want to, we're not going to have this conversation, because you know what you know, and you know what you don't know. But that's where the things are going. So this has really got my attention very heavy, almost more so than basketball, which has captivated me since I was 14 years old. I'm 44 now. So 30 years later, now I'm captivated by something else.
So for a CEO listener, and thank you for that. That was all, interesting and educational, even for me. What advice would you have to a CEO who's perhaps, clearly at this point, everybody has heard NFT, everybody has heard crypto. They're not yet in the game. What would you, but they, to your point, they're not avoiding it. They just haven't yet figured out, how do I get involved? Where do I get involved? What advice would you have for that CEO?
Deep dive, and what I had to do as well, deep dive. What is crypto? What is cryptocurrency? What is Bitcoin? What is this Ethereum? Like, look that up. And I think most people have not done that, and then just give a soundbite off of whatever Dogecoin or this and that. It's that's the media. So I would say you deep dive it. When I started studying, Michael Saylor, who runs a company called MicroStrategy, multi-billion-dollar company that does like cloud computing. He said you need to go over 100 hours to understand Bitcoin and blockchain technology. I believe I probably did that. Gary Vee says you need to do about 50 hours on a deep dive with NFTs to understand that. Now we're basically saying, hey, you got to go to a seminar, or you got to go to, I'm saying, in your own home for 2-3 weeks or something to deep dive it. But I would rather be curious and do that deep dive to understand it and find out I was wrong, and then that just saves me for the rest of my life. Or I've deep dived for 2 to 3 weeks, and I hit the lottery ticket. I found out that this is what's going to change the world, and I'm a part of it early. And most of the people that get on that early right now, they're going to see how making money is a byproduct, but this stuff is game changing with contracts and, where things can build trust, because it's immutable on the blockchain. You can't go in and change anything. So these are just big ideas. You can transact currency across the globe, and it's final in seconds, rather than, I try to transfer $1,000 and then it gets held up for 3 to 4 days due to ACH. So there's all these little different things that it's sticky where it's at right now, that it's going to make things very easy and seamless to happen. But we're on, like in NFTs, there's less than 1 million people involved in NFTs on the planet. I own 80 of them. So it's you deep dive crypto, DeFi, which is decentralized finance, GameFi, NFTs, deep dive individual crypto. And the biggest ones I would say right now is at least just look at Bitcoin and Ethereum and find out what those mean and what those are. But there's a much deeper dive once you start to go into it. And that's for anybody, not just a CEO. Why not be curious about learning? There's not a day that anybody on this earth that has a TV or a phone is not seeing or hearing about NFTs or crypto every day.
Right.
And if we backed up to March when I got in, it wasn't being said like that every day. It was more spread out. And because I'm in the trenches of it, I see like how it's like revving up. Gary Vee sells his NFT project to the V Friends, and I think they do 100 million in an hour. It's worth more than, you know what I'm saying? But looking at what you can do with that capital, I think he took 60 million, he took the remaining 40 million, reinvested back into the company. And so, and every time now that those NFTs are sold on a secondary market, he gets royalties off of that. And so there's so many different things that can be written into smart contracts, which go into layer 1 protocols. And that's what essentially we're talking about as an NFT, that you can put smart contracts in that are immutable and cannot be changed by anybody. It's a really big idea. So now something that everything in your home can be counterfeited. All of the money in your account can be counterfeited today. That cannot happen on the blockchain. But a lot of people are holding on to this old model, but it's rapidly changing. And so blockchain technology is another one you want to deep dive. That's the framework that allows for all this to work, that all that information gets stacked together on a block, a never-ending blockchain.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, once again, you can feel the passion and the pursuit, and that you're taking the deep dive. So maybe this is a wrap-up question.
Yeah.
So you get successful with this, right? And you're monetizing the dream. What's the dream?
Right now, I'm trying to get things automated, which I pretty much got. I'm going in that direction. And I'm looking to get into a Web3 type project. And that's been my kind of pursuit here for the last few months. Like I told you before we got on the call, I just got offered to be on a project this morning, just from a lot of stuff I've been doing on Twitter. Twitter's kind of the, I thought Twitter was like the stepchild of, social media. So I just didn't really ever go on there much, but it's, oh my goodness. If you are a business CEO, if you are in, trying to build your finance, you want to build capital, you need to be on Twitter. If you want to learn, you need to be on Twitter. Twitter is, it's fascinating. And I believe there's some of the most, how should I say, as accurate as can be information on there, because it's challenged by the community. As soon as you say something, they're able to look up and counter challenge that to build some type of argument against it, or it just is what it is. It's a truth. And that's just the kind of the social component of it. But man, I learn every day on Twitter, and I'm able to get the most recent up-to-date information on whatever a particular project is, or any piece of information that I need to learn to connect that together. And so it's also how to narrow down your focus, that you can make it where you're just learning off of social media. I think that's a difficult process. So you gotta, if we're here, I might not friend you on our social media, because I don't want to see you posting your spaghetti, Patrick, or whatever, but we'll talk on the phone and we'll go out to eat spaghetti. But I just want to see things that are teaching me, learning, get better, improvement. And once I've narrowed my feed down, it's just a cascade of rapid information. And with artificial intelligence, that's another technology we have in our world right now, in cloud computing, and we can keep going on. That enhances that process or that current of information. So I'm getting exactly what I want or a desire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Honing in. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm making a note here. No more spaghetti.
Wow, spaghetti's really good. Spaghetti, what I'm saying is that people on social media post their meals and they post their all these different things, and
Yeah.
so be it. You can do what you want to do. Like I utilize my social media for my business and for
Right.
connecting and building a community. And I've seen that now this is where you can go back and have the ability to monetize things through the community. And it's not like I'm still, we all can benefit from that on the Web3 model. And you can build a self-sustaining community that you don't have to go deal with the big wigs or the big business. That if you get a large enough community, that community can self-sustain and stuff, and everybody eats from it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already happening right now. This isn't something that's like, it will happen. It's already happening right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are changing their life with it. People that are musicians and artists, and that's what we're seeing with NFTs is collectible and artists that now can pay where you could be a wonderful artist, Patrick or Leb, and you're, it's in your home, or you only got a few pieces in the gallery, and then you're going to pay that gallery something to have it stored there so that it gets seen. Here we put on OpenSea, maybe they take 2-3%, but then 97% goes back to you, and that can now sell as an NFT for maybe 10,000, where you might have got paid 500 for it. I mean, it's life changing. That changes your life.
Wow.
Yeah.
But if somebody's comfortable with money, it's like, that sounds cool. I've had 10,000 before. If you only had 1,000 before, and now you just saw that, or 100, it's life. I've witnessed through some of the communities I'm in an NFT where they're in India, and a guy's like, I'm in this community called Chicken NFT, and he got a chicken, and that chicken itself is worth, if you sold it right now, it's worth over $2,000. That was life-changing money for his family. He got won it through a giveaway, and so that's amazing stuff. Yeah.
Wow. That's good. That's really good.
Thank you.
Well, I think we need to go to Let's Get Practical.
Yeah.
Right? I have completely filled a couple of pages here, but we're going to let you go first, Bino, because you kick us off on Let's Get Practical.
Man, well, I just broke down notes, leadership traits, how to teach leadership. I remember we talked about earlier, the 5 traits I would say that a leader can bring, or a CEO can bring to build relationships. That's the first one. And maybe there's like these barriers are set up, maybe have a get together or something like that, or pull some one-on-ones in. But you got to build a relationship. They want to know you care. People want to be treated the right way.
Yeah.
This is another thing. Challenge your employees. People want to be challenged. People want to be challenged. And if not, through that challenge, you start to see a bunch of resistance. They're not the right people for that organization. And you got to make a tough decision to get them out of there, or it's just going to mess with the culture. Autonomy. But we got to build up to autonomy through a hard working culture.
Wow.
Competition and collaboration. I like how you brought that point out. I never really thought about that like that. It just is what it is. And you just go, we're going to be competitive, but you got to work together. So I wrote that tip down to myself, and talking about how CEOs struggling with the ego, and certain leaders having their own agenda and whatnot. To bring it back, that build self point about when everybody contributes and does their part, we make the pie bigger and everybody eats. I mean, these guys are playing in multiple Final Fours, national championship games, and then a bunch of the big pieces that all those guys are going off playing professional basketball, and a large amount of them going to the NBA. How does that happen? Because everybody's seeking that piece of success through this process, diminishing the ego, getting everybody to buy into the team. That's the best way that you can receive any individual success.
That's great.
Yeah. Communication, building relationships.
That's really great.
That's great stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Any others? I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. I mean, I could, because I wrote a whole nother page down, so I want to steal the show, man. Yeah.
Good. No. Well, you are the show, so it's okay. You can't steal the show when you are the show. It's good.
Oh, come on now.
Leb, can I jump in? Got a couple.
Yeah, dude. Yes.
All right. Bino, thank you.
Yeah, no
for
problem.
everything, all these great points. I also want to thank you for earlier making me the star performer. That's the first time in my life that's ever happened. So that's just a huge takeaway for me. I'll remember this forever. So a lot of things. Okay, one thing you said you were talking about culture being the tide and the current. And so just for a takeaway for a CEO, that a high performing culture is the tide and current that reveals the weak links in your organization. It kind of raises the bar and it highlights who's below it. And I just thought that was a really good point. I love when you said, don't wait to take action. When you see people on your team who are messing up the culture, fix it right away. You were talking about bringing guys in, and you spend more time recruiting them. You spend so much time recruiting them, but then you quickly figure out they're not the right fit, and you gotta fix that because everybody else is watching. I love two more, and then I'll throw it to you, Leb. You were saying coach the big egos on the team to make everyone else better, and if they can't, then realize the impact that that's having on the rest of your team. I thought that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, I'm sure this one's on your list, Leb. When you said the Michael Jordan quote, "Pressure is what you make it." So use your emotional intelligence as a leader. Put your blinders on to avoid the noise, tune out the noise, and then just work with your team to be successful. And remember that the noise often means you're getting closer to success. Yeah. It's kind of a few different points that you made together that I thought were really, really good. So,
thank you,
Leb. What do you got?
That's great, Patrick. Man, you both took a lot of what's on my page.
It sucks going last.
I love going last. Well, I just put it a slightly different way. Is it something Bino said, which is you have to be emotionally intelligent. There's no ducking that, and and people see and know. They see and know whether there's an emotionally intelligent response under whatever the situation is, and so that's like a requirement, and it's a lifelong journey. That's a piece of work. It doesn't stop. Nobody gets. I got a certificate way back. That was probably around 2002 because I did one of Daniel Goleman's first emotionally intelligent academy. I got a certificate. That did not mean anything more than I got kind of a piece of the foundation, right? It's a lifelong build. So I think that's a whole other thing to say is, we're on a lifelong journey here. I liked when we talked about identifying the currency. Right. Because if you can identify the currency, and, Stephen Covey was one of the people who first kind of alerted me to this notion of currency, because he talked about making withdrawals and deposits. Right. And if you're constantly making withdrawals and you're not making deposits, sooner or later, you're bankrupt.
Right.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble with your culture, or you're in trouble with a relationship or a team. So paying attention to that currency and knowing how to use it. It's like, okay, I'll give you really one quick story. So here's the top salesperson. I'm in high tech. It's like, I don't know. It was before the .com bust, and high tech was flashy. And I'm flying to San Jose all the time, and I'm literally in a high tech company. The top salesperson gets rewarded. We're having a huge. Everybody's there. There's thousands of people, and they bring this person up, and this person doesn't acknowledge anybody. I mean, there's no top salesperson that didn't get there because of a whole lot of work that a whole lot of other people did. And then to make it worse, the currency for that reward was the CEO of the company, proudly hands this guy some keys, and everybody's like, what? And then they drive in a brand new Porsche on the stage. For the individual,
yeah,
you didn't get that individually, and I mean, you could feel the energy in the room shift in kind of a negative direction.
Yeah.
So I just use that to say, you got to be smarter than that. So other things, a couple of other quick things is, welcome new thinking.
Yeah.
Remain curious. And yes, there's tribal knowledge and existing knowledge, but there's new things happening, and we have to pay attention to them. Last one, I think I'll say for now. Well, I mean, there's a whole bunch of it, but there's no avoiding the uncomfortable. It's and establish the relationship before you deal with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. But there's no avoiding it, including, I have to, accept it myself. I love when you talk about you left me no choice. I had to tell you didn't do the job. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, to me, that's what a great coworker, a friend, a true individual, authentic other leader would do.
Yeah.
Right. Pick it back up. And if I don't get the feedback, so the last one I'd say is I always think, welcome feedback and have the mindset feedback is my friend.
Yeah, like that.
Perfect.
All right, Patrick, take us home, Patrick.
Yeah, Bino, thank you so much. If someone wants to get in touch with you or wants to learn more about you, where can they do that?
YouTube at Hoop Dreams Bball, on Twitter at Hoop Dreams Bball, and on Instagram at Hoop Dreams Bball. I'm very active on there, daily post on there. So each of those mediums, teachable moments, motivational stuff. Now that I'm into crypto and DeFi and Web3, it's a mixture of things that pertain to basketball, and but also in that whole world. So blending those two worlds together. I wanted to leave one last message. One of my biggest fears, or actually probably one of my number one fears in life, was that I would always be a basketball coach and known as that. And no matter how successful I was, that was my plight in life. And I know I had so many different interests and things that I enjoyed doing, but it got to a point that I didn't just want that to be my identity. And then through this, going through this deep dive, it's like I'm now reinvigorated, and it's like this second act. It's that doesn't erase the first act. It blends in together. And so I'm saying that because there might be some people that listen to your podcast that are tied up somewhere and thinking like they're just tired of it or whatever. And like I said, I was scared that I was 44. I'm just going to be a basketball coach. That's it. Like, I'm just going to be that. And now I got new life in this new world that I'm also beginning to find success in. So you got everybody has a lot of talents and things that are in them. Even though you might be in something now, there might be another area that needs your talents and gifts. Don't be scared to take that chance.
That's a beautiful wrap.
Yeah, it's a great way. It is a great way to wrap. That's great. Bino, thank you for being our guest. Kumbeno Memory. Leb, thank you for lining Bino up, for bringing him onto the show. Great content, great information. I look forward to putting this out there and getting feedback from our listeners. Thank you, listener, for joining us for another episode of the Frustrated CEO podcast. Remember, you can download this episode's Let's Get Practical and all of our previous episodes' Let's Get Practicals from our website, thefrustratedceo.com. And please leave us a review. Let us know what do you like, what don't you like. If you have suggestions for future guests, then you can contact any of us, Leb at thefrustratedceo.com, Patrick at thefrustratedceo.com, and our esteemed colleague Patsy, who's not here today. We look forward to having her back next time, Patsy at thefrustratedceo.com as well. That's it. We look forward to seeing you again next time on The Frustrated CEO.